Before we dive into the mechanics of your world, take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you are ready to stop being a passenger in your own life and start driving, type "I am ready" in the comments below. To truly change the world that you see when you open your eyes every morning, you must first understand the invisible scaffolding upon which that world is built. Owen Hermstring refers to this as the hidden law, a psychological and metaphysical architecture that dictates how your life unfolds, often without your conscious consent. Most people move through their days under the illusion that life is a series of random events, a chaotic mix of luck, hard work, and external circumstances. However, the hidden law suggests a much more structured and predictable reality. It operates through what we call the reality loop, a sophisticated feedback system where your internal state and your external experience are in a constant, reinforcing dialogue. The foundation of this architecture is found within your own biology. At its core, the hidden law is governed by your brain's filtering mechanisms, specifically the reticular activating system, or RAS. Every single second, your brain is bombarded with millions of bits of data from your environment. To prevent total sensory overload, the RAS acts as a gatekeeper, filtering out everything it deems irrelevant. But here is the secret. Your RAS doesn't decide what is important based on logic or what you say you want. It uses your core beliefs and your most dominant, repetitive thoughts as the criteria for what gets through the gate. If you carry a deep-seated belief that opportunity is scarce or that people cannot be trusted, your RAS will literally render you blind to potential openings or genuine acts of kindness. It focuses your attention exclusively on every piece of evidence that confirms your internal narrative of lack. This is the first layer of the hidden law, the law of selective perception. You do not see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. This creates a powerful loop where your belief dictates your perception dictates your actions, and your actions inevitably produce results that reinforce that original, perhaps limiting, belief. Moving deeper into the architecture, Hermstring posits that every individual is running what he calls a reality script. This is an unconscious set of instructions, a mental software inherited from childhood, cultural conditioning, and even ancestral patterns. This script acts as the definitive law for your personal universe. When you encounter a new situation, your subconscious mind doesn't look at it with fresh eyes. It scans the script to determine the appropriate emotional and physical response based on the past. Consider a person who carries a script of abandonment. No matter how many loving and consistent people enter their life, the hidden law of their internal architecture will force them to interpret even the smallest slight, a delayed text or a busy friend, as a sign of impending rejection. This skewed interpretation triggers a defensive emotional state, which might lead to clinginess, accusations, or preemptive withdrawal. Consequently, the other person, feeling the pressure, eventually pulls away. The reality loop is then completed. The person's external reality has once again mirrored their internal script. They say to themselves, "See, I knew it. People always leave me," never realizing that the hidden law of their own psyche engineered the very outcome they feared most. But the architecture goes even deeper than psychology. It enters the metaphysical dimension of resonance and frequency. While this might sound abstract, it is fundamentally a principle observed in physics. Everything in the known universe is energy vibrating at specific frequencies. If you strike a tuning fork of a certain frequency, another tuning fork of that same frequency across the room will begin to vibrate in sympathy. In the Hermstring model, your dominant emotional state is your personal frequency. The hidden law dictates that you cannot experience a reality that does not resonate with your current vibration. You simply cannot manifest a reality of abundance while your primary emotional frequency is one of resentment, jealousy, or the constant feeling of not enough. in. This is precisely why working harder in the physical world often fails to change the trajectory of a person's life. If the internal architecture, the frequency of the observer, remains unchanged, the hidden law will simply manifest more opportunities for hard work without the corresponding reward. The external world is a rigid reflection. It must match the resonant frequency of the mind that perceives it. The ultimate secret to overriding this law is recognizing that the reality loop is not a prison, but a mirror. The architecture of your life is intentionally designed to show you exactly what you are holding inside, even the parts you have tried to hide from yourself. Most people spend their entire lives trying to fix the mirror. They try to change the external events, manipulate the people around them, and struggle against circumstances. But if you change the image standing in front of a mirror, the reflection changes automatically and effortlessly. Understanding the reality loop requires a radical and sometimes uncomfortable shift in responsibility. It means accepting that if a specific pattern is repeating in your life, whether it is financial struggle, toxic relationships, or a persistent sense of purposelessness, it is because the hidden law of your internal architecture is demanding that specific output. You are simultaneously the architect, the builder, and the resident of your reality. To change the house you live in, you must go back to the original blueprints in the mind. The architecture of the hidden law is the fundamental realization that external reality is always downstream from internal consciousness. Once you grasp that the loop is a feedback mechanism designed for your own evolution, you stop being a victim of the law and begin the journey toward becoming its master. If this message is starting to click, type "I am the mirror" in the comments. Don't forget to like this video to help others break their own cycles of reflection. To master the hidden law, one must confront a truth that the ego often finds unbearable. The world around you is not a separate entity acting upon you, but a high-definition mirror reflecting the contents of your own soul. Owen Hermstring refers to this as the mirror effect. This principle suggests that your environment, your bank account, the quality of your relationships, and even the recurring frustrations of your daily commute is a direct printout of your internal landscape. Specifically, the mirror effect highlights the presence of the shadow, a term borrowed from Jungian psychology to describe the parts of ourselves we have rejected, suppressed, or denied. The hidden law operates on the premise that what is unintegrated within must be encountered without. If you have suppressed your own power because you were taught that being bold is arrogant, the mirror effect will ensure you are constantly surrounded by arrogant people who trigger your anger. You believe you are dealing with difficult people, but according to the hidden law, you are actually encountering your own disowned power in a distorted form. The environment is simply providing the stage for you to witness what you refuse to see in yourself. This is why the same types of villains keep appearing in your life story, even if you change jobs, cities, or partners. Until the internal shadow is acknowledged, the mirror has no choice but to keep showing you the same image. This reflection is most evident in the mirror of scarcity. Many people struggle with the reality of financial or emotional lack, believing they are victims of a cruel economy or bad luck. However, Hermstring reveals that the hidden law cannot reflect abundance to a mind that is secretly identified with unworthiness. If your shadow contains a deep belief that you do not deserve the best life has to offer, the mirror effect will manifest as unexpected expenses, missed opportunities, or bad luck that perfectly drains your resources. You might work 16 hours a day, but if the mirror is reflecting a shadow of scarcity, your effort will be like pouring water into a sieve. The external lack is merely a symptom of an internal agreement you made with yourself long ago, likely in response to childhood experiences where you felt your needs were a burden. The secret to overriding the hidden law through the mirror effect is to stop reacting to the reflection and start analyzing it as a diagnostic tool. Most people spend their lives shouting at the mirror, trying to force the reflection to smile while they themselves are still scowling. They try to fix their partners, fix their bosses, or fix their luck. But the hidden law is impersonal. It has no choice but to reflect what is actually standing in front of it. When you encounter a recurring conflict, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the Hermstring method teaches you to ask, "What part of me is this reflecting?" This shift from victimhood to self-inquiry is the moment the override begins. Furthermore, the mirror effect extends to the mirror of potential. Just as the world reflects our hidden wounds, it also reflects our hidden greatness. When you feel a profound, inexplicable admiration for someone else's success or character, that too is a reflection. You are seeing a dormant part of your own potential that is seeking expression. The hidden law uses these positive reflections as a compass, showing you what you are capable of becoming if you choose to integrate those qualities. The world is a vast 360-degree feedback system designed to guide you back to wholeness. Ultimately, understanding that your environment is a reflection of your shadow is the ultimate act of empowerment. It means that you are never truly stuck. If you don't like what you see in the mirror of your life, you don't need to break the glass. You simply need to change the internal state that is being reflected. By integrating your shadow, by owning your power, healing your sense of lack, and resolving your internal conflicts, the hidden law is forced to update the reflection. The world around you will shift, sometimes with startling speed, because it no longer has a shadow script to play out. You are the source. The world is merely the echo. If you are ready to stop repeating the past and start engineering your future, type "script overridden" in the comments. Make sure to share this with someone who is currently stuck in a cycle. To override the hidden law, you must perform what Owen Hermstring calls a system reboot of your consciousness. Most people live in a state of reaction. They wait for the world to change so they can feel better, unaware that they are trying to operate a new software on an old, corrupted operating system. The secret to overriding the script lies in the mastery of radical cognitive reframing, the ability to consciously interrupt the brain's automatic, history-based responses and replace them with a future-oriented narrative before the physical evidence even exists. This is not positive thinking. It is a deliberate, biological rewiring of your neural architecture. The script you are currently running is stored in the subconscious mind as a series of automatic programs. These programs are efficient. They allow you to navigate life without thinking. However, they are also past-obsessed. Your brain is essentially a record of the past, and its primary job is to keep you safe by predicting the future based on what has already happened. If your script says money is hard to keep, your brain will automatically trigger stress hormones the moment you receive a large sum. To override this, you must engage the prefrontal cortex, the seat of conscious intent, to catch these automatic impulses in real time. This is the gap of power. In the split second between an event and your reaction to it, you have the opportunity to insert a new command. Instead of reacting with the old stress, you consciously choose a frame of expansion and safety. By doing this repeatedly, you leverage neuroplasticity, physically weakening the old neural pathways of lack and building new, robust highways of abundance. The most potent tool in this override process is the concept of identity collapsing. The hidden law dictates that your reality will always align with who you think you are. Most people try to change their results while keeping their old identity, the struggling artist, the unlucky lover, or the hard worker. But Hermstring teaches that you must leap into the identity of the person who already has the result. You must think, speak, and most importantly, feel from the state of the wish fulfilled. This is where most people fail. They wait for the money to feel wealthy, or wait for the love to feel worthy. But the law is a mirror. It cannot show you what you do not first feel. To override the script, you must trick the subconscious by generating the emotional frequency of success in the present moment. When you feel the gratitude of a goal achieved now, the subconscious cannot distinguish between a memory and a vividly imagined experience. It begins to reorganize your perception and your RAS to match this new inner fact, effectively forcing the external reality to catch up. Furthermore, radical cognitive reframing requires the total elimination of cognitive dissonance through the power of narrative. Every time you speak about your problems, your debt or your failures, you are reauthoring the old script. You are literally casting a spell on your own reality, using the hidden law against yourself. To override it, you must become a sovereign narrator. This means refusing to give emotional weight to current facts that contradict your new script. If your bank account is low, you don't ignore it. That would be delusion. But you reframe it. You see it as a temporary, lagging reflection of an old version of you that no longer exists. You maintain your inner conviction that abundance is my natural state, and the reflection is currently updating. By denying the old reality your emotional energy, you starve it of the power it needs to persist. Finally, the secret involves a deep understanding of quantum intentionality. This is the realization that all possible versions of your life already exist as probability waves in the quantum field. The version of you that is successful, healthy, and fulfilled is just as real as the version that is struggling. The only thing that pins a specific version into your physical experience is your persistent observation. When you constantly observe your problems, you collapse the quantum wave into a problematic reality. When you use radical cognitive reframing to persistently observe your desired outcome with the feeling of its reality, you begin to collapse the wave into a new physical manifestation. The override is not an act of will, it is an act of persistent perception. You are not creating a new reality so much as you are choosing to tune your internal radio to a frequency that is already broadcasting. Once the frequency is locked in, the hidden law has no choice but to broadcast that reality through the speakers of your physical life. If you've ever felt like life got harder, just as you started improving, type "I will not back down" in the comments. Let's support each other through the friction of the shift. One of the most misunderstood stages of overriding the hidden law is the sudden appearance of obstacles, setbacks, and intense internal resistance. Owen Hermstring explains that when you commit to a radical shift in your consciousness, your current reality does not simply vanish, it pushes back. This is known as systemic homeostasis. Just as your body works to maintain a constant temperature, your reality script works to maintain its current state, even if that state is one of suffering or lack. To the subconscious mind, the known, even if it's painful, is safer than the unknown, even if it's abundance. Therefore, when you start to change, the hidden law triggers a resistance response designed to pull you back into your comfort zone. Understanding this friction is the difference between those who successfully manifest a new life and those who remain trapped in the loop. Most people interpret sudden challenges, like an unexpected bill, a conflict with a partner, or a wave of self-doubt, as a sign that their manifestation isn't working or that they are on the wrong path. In the Hermstring model, this is a fatal error. In truth, resistance is a compass. The friction you feel is the sound of the old reality grinding against the new one. It is a biological and metaphysical confirmation that you are actually moving. If there were no resistance, it would mean you are still operating within the same old frequency. When the world seems to be falling apart, it is often because it is being dismantled to make room for the structure you are currently building. To navigate this friction, you must master the concept of emotional equilibrium. When a challenge arises during a reality shift, the hidden law is testing your commitment to your new identity. If you react with the same old fear, anger, or victim mentality, you immediately fall back into the old frequency and revalidate the old script. The secret is to remain unshakable in the storm. You must look at the problem not as a disaster, but as a calibration. Hermstring teaches that these moments of friction are actually opportunities to anchor your new frequency. By responding to a crisis with the calm, gratitude, and certainty of your new self, you prove to the subconscious that the old script no longer applies. This response effectively breaks the homeostasis and forces the system to accept the new reality as the new baseline. Furthermore, we must recognize the role of shadow reclamation during these shifts. Often, the resistance we encounter in the external world is a direct reflection of a part of our shadow that is terrified of the change. If you are shifting into a reality of high visibility and success, your shadow might fear the potential for public judgment or the loss of privacy it used to have in failure. This internal fear will project outward as technical glitches, unsupportive friends, or sudden health issues. Instead of fighting the external obstacle, the sovereign creator looks inward and asks, "What part of me is afraid of this new version of my life?" By acknowledging and comforting that fearful part of the self, the external resistance often dissolves overnight. The hidden law no longer has an internal hook to latch onto, and the path clears. Finally, navigating the friction requires a deep trust in the law of gestation. Just as a seed must spend time in the dark, pressurized earth before it breaks the surface, your new reality requires a period of gestation. During this time, the lag time between your internal change and the external reflection can feel agonizing. This is when the ego is most likely to quit. However, the secret to mastering the hidden law is realizing that the lag is an essential part of the design. It is the filter that ensures only those with true, persistent intention can access the higher levels of creation. Resistance is not a wall, it is a weight room. It is building the spiritual and psychological muscle you will need to sustain the level of success you are calling in. When you learn to welcome the friction, to see it as the labor pains of your new life, you become truly unstoppable. You stop praying for a life without challenges and start using every challenge as a stepping stone to a higher frequency. If you have decided that you are the sole author of your life story from this moment forward, type "I am the sovereign" in the comments. Subscribe to join our community of architects. The transition from overriding the law to mastering it marks the birth of the sovereign creator. In the previous stages, you were like a student learning the rules of a new language. Now, you are the poet who uses those rules to create masterpieces. Sovereign creation is the state where you no longer struggle against the hidden law, because you have fully integrated its mechanics into your daily existence. You have moved beyond trying to manifest and have entered a state of being. Owen Hermstring defines this level of mastery as the total alignment of your three creative centers: your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical actions. When these three are congruent, the hidden law ceases to be a force you use and becomes an effortless extension of your will. At this level, the primary work is no longer about fixing problems. It is about maintenance of frequency. A sovereign creator understands that their most valuable asset is their internal state. They do not leave their mood or their mindset to chance or external circumstances. They recognize that the hidden law is always on, constantly scanning their frequency and printing out the corresponding reality. Therefore, they engage in a daily practice of intentional alignment. This isn't a chore, it's a lifestyle. It involves a ruthless audit of the information they consume, the people they spend time with, and the internal narratives they allow to run. They understand that every word spoken and every thought entertained is a seed being planted in the fertile ground of the hidden law. To master reality design, you must become a vigilant gardener of your own mind. One of the most profound shifts in sovereign creation is the movement from need to preference. Most people try to manifest from a state of need. They need the money, they need the partner, they need the health. But need is a frequency of lack, and the hidden law can only reflect back more need. The sovereign creator, however, operates from a state of wholeness. They realize that they are already complete, and their manifestations are simply preferences for their physical experience. They want the wealth not because they are poor without it, but because it is a fun and expansive way to experience the world. This lack of desperate attachment is the ultimate secret. When you no longer need it to happen, the hidden law is free to deliver it with startling speed. You have removed the emotional clutter that previously blocked the signal. Furthermore, the sovereign creator masters the integration of the paradox. They understand that they are both the director of the movie and the lead actor. They hold a clear, unwavering vision of their desired future, the director, while simultaneously being fully present and grateful for their current life, the actor. They do not postpone their happiness until the big goal arrives. They find the frequency of that goal in the small moments of today. This integration collapses the distance between the present and the future. By being happy now, they resonate with a future of happiness, and the hidden law is forced to bridge the gap. This is the art of living in the end. It is the realization that the destination and the journey are made of the same energetic fabric. Finally, mastering sovereign creation means stepping into a role of personal and collective responsibility. You realize that by changing your own reality, you are shifting the collective hidden law for everyone around you. As you become more abundant, more peaceful, and more powerful, you act as a tuning fork for others, inviting them to raise their own frequency. You are no longer fighting for a piece of the pie. You are realizing that you are the one who creates the pie. This is true sovereignty. The realization that you are not a victim of the world, but a gift to it. You have moved from a life of reaction to a life of design. The hidden law is no longer a mystery or a hurdle. It is the canvas upon which you paint the masterpiece of your existence. We have journeyed through the depths of Owen Hermstring's revelations, moving from the realization of our reality loops to the final reclamation of our sovereign power. You now hold the keys to the hidden law. You know that the world is a mirror, that friction is your compass, and that your identity is the primary engine of change. The question that remains is not, can I change my reality? But will I? The old script is waiting for you to pick it back up. The old habits, the old fears, and the old shadow are familiar and comfortable. But you are no longer the person who started reading this. You have been initiated into the mechanics of the unseen. From this day forward, every time you face a challenge, you will see the mirror. Every time you feel lack, you will remember your frequency. Go forth and design a life that is worthy of the creator you have become. The mirror is waiting. What will you show it?